Hi everyone, Legend here, and I want to talk to you all about Halloween Horror Nights 2025. Last night I was at opening night at Universal Studios Florida, and this is always one of my favorite special events of the entire year. In this video here, going to cover all the haunted houses, scare zones, shows, and more. Let's get things going. Starting off with, I think, the heart and soul of the event, and that is the 10 different haunted houses on offer. Starting off with the one I was by far most looking forward to, and that was WWE Horrors of the Wyatt 6. Now, I am a lifelong fan of WWE, a huge fan of the late great Bray Wyatt, so I was really excited for this house, and I think it really did deliver. There are some spaces like the massacre in the gorilla position during the debut vignette of the Wyatt 6. You get to go to the Firefly Funhouse or the Wyatt family compound, but there's also spaces that you don't know and they kind of invented for the haunt, like going to the world of Mercy the Buzzard or Huskus the Pig Boy. Now, if you're a WWE fan like I am, there are a lot of Easter eggs. One really cool thing in the queue for this house, and a couple of the soundstage houses have big indoor air-conditioned queues, which is absolutely great. WWE is one of them, and they have special video packages done by Bo Dallas Uncle Howdy, sort of explaining the Wyatt 6 and why they're at Horror Nights and stuff like that, and I thought that was an awesome touch. I definitely wanted to get a lot more trips through this one to see some more detail. The next haunted house I went through was another soundstage haunted house, an original concept called Grave of Flesh. I'll be honest, this one was not my favorite. Most of it is just kind of in like a big dirt area with like skeleton dudes and fuzzy skull animal things jumping at you. This one wasn't a soundstage, but I really think it could have been in a tent because it didn't really use the grand scale of a soundstage at all. At one point, you end up going out of the dirt to go into MC Escher-like stair things. There is a skull person up on an altar getting air blown at them like they're Marilyn Monroe. It was kind of odd. And then it's just back to more scenes in dirt and graves. This one was really not my favorite. Possibly the most anticipated house at Horror Nights this year is Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, I have never played the games, but I have seen the movie, and personally growing up, I was always a big fan of the animatronic pizza restaurants, and I love animatronics myself, so I was really excited for this haunted house, and honestly, this haunted house could not start any better. They built the facade of Freddy Fazbear's pizza place, and then you go in and it looks just like you want it to. You get the stage with the animatronic band. They actually went and built the animatronic characters and made them sing songs. It looks amazing, and you're in this 80s pizza restaurant. It is so good. Like, this is what I think of when I think of Halloween Horror Nights, that they could build things like this. Fantastic. Now, the rest of the house uses a combo of puppets and animatronics for the characters. They look great. There are also some live people playing victims, but I didn't really notice them as much as I was too distracted by the animatronics. And man, this is going to be the most popular house at Halloween Horror Nights. At one point, it had over a 3-hour wait on opening night. So yeah, that is definitely... When it comes to Horror Nights, it's a very popular event and long lines come with that. This seems like it is going to be the longest wait at the event this year. The next haunted house I went through was an original concept soundstage house called El Artista, a Spanish haunting. This to me was just classic Halloween Horror Nights. It's themed to a painter whose paintings come to life, and you walk in and there's this great facade as soon as you get into the haunted house. It is like this giant Spanish mansion, and then the whole house is filled with lots of rooms, and there's different courtyards areas. There's a big functioning fountain at one point. Lots of different creatures jump out at you. There are 2-story sets. There's a flying character. There's a one room where the artist's writing comes to life, and it's really weird. There's some great technology stuff in there. There's projection. There's Pepper's Ghost. This haunted house is an absolute home run. Just classic Halloween Horror Nights to me. Kind of the stuff they do better than anyone else, which is with just all these giant, beautiful sets. Jason Universe is in the Fast and Furious queue and then a tent around that, and this house is pretty much exactly what you think it's going to be. Most of it is in boathouses and cabins at Camp Crystal Lake. They do have some cool sets as you go in between the cabins. There's also one really long hallway with a whole bunch of different Jasons coming after you. This house does get rather repetitive, but on the good side, there are also a ton of actors. Now, with the conga line style of haunts at HHN, I really don't find them to be overly scary, but this I thought was one of the scarier houses at the event. In a tent out behind the Men in Black ride is Fallout. Now this is based on the video game and the Amazon TV show. Now this is an IP I'm not overly familiar with. I have seen 2 episodes of the show. I never played the game, but hey, seeing those 2 episodes of the show, I did get about 40% of the house made sense to me, which is actually way better than I thought. You start off in the vault on the wedding day, and there's some really cool stuff in here too. Like there's a lady with a great mask or prosthetic with a fork stuck into her eye. You go to the Philly junkyard town, which is just this really, really cool set. After only seeing 2 episodes, this is where the haunted house kind of stopped making sense to me. There's a big snake monster thing. That was fun. I was happy to see they had one of the big moving mech suit transformer guys. The ghoul makes a couple of appearances. I'll probably finish the show before Horror Nights ends, and then the house will make more sense. But to me, this one was kind of middle of the road. Also in a tent behind Men in Black, you'll find Galkin, Monsters of the North. This is an original concept house that again feels very classic HHN. I think it's probably based on some sort of Scandinavian mythology, but I'm really not sure. It starts off with a big moving set piece that introduces the story. There's some really cool blacklight scenes, lots of cabin sets, but then there's also some other stuff, some really big sets. There's a big stilt guy character. I missed it, but Molly saw it. There's also like a giant 20-foot tall burning wicker man at one point. There's a big puppet or animatronic demon guy that I think eats you towards the end. It's a really excellent haunted house. Big thumbs up. Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters, is in one of the sprung tents behind the Simpsons ride. And this one, it is Demons in the Old West. Cool thing about this, it does have an outdoor facade. I like this one. At one point, there's a demon in the fireplace, lots of cool blacklight stuff. There's some cool, like, supernatural gunshot holes in a wall. There's a train scene. Surprising amount of dead horses in this haunted house. One thing about it, this house smelled. Like, they pumped in a bad smell. I'm not sure if it was dirt or death, but it was a smelly haunted house. There were lots of actors, some on a second level of building. Really solid house here. Dolls Let's Play Dead was up next, again in a tent behind the Simpsons ride, and this had a cool outdoor facade as well. Very much felt like the Disney Toy Story area where you are shrunk down to the size of a toy and you're going through a playroom of tortured dolls. Very much think like Sid from Toy Story and what he does to his toys. That's kind of the idea of this haunted house, except it happens to a whole bunch of dolls. But I really, really liked it. It's a very inventive style haunted house, and you get to see all terrible things happen to these dolls. Like some dolls get their head shaved and there's a giant razor in that scene and it vibrates the entire room. You get melted with dolls in a giant oven. Dolls get electrocuted. This was a fun house, a very inventive house. Big thumbs up to that one. And then the final haunted house, another big IP, is in the soundstage, and that is Terrifier. Now, I have seen the first 2 Terrifier movies. They were 100% not my bag, but I will say the house is as messed up as those movies are. One of the goriest haunted houses I have ever seen at Halloween Horror Nights, so they definitely do the films justice. There's a cool entrance like you're going to the old-timey haunted house from the second movie, and also it is a really, really long haunted house. The Art the Clown character makes a really, really good haunted house kind of goofy, weird, crazy villain, and there's a really cool ending of this one where you get to go through a dry path or a wet path to finish up the haunted house. The wet path, you do get kind of wet. If you walk right down the middle, you get wetter than if you walked on the sides. But yeah, it's cool. I liked having the 2 separate endings, and you know, Terrifier is not really my thing, but it was a solid haunted house. There are 2 shows at Halloween Horror Nights this year. The first one I saw was the Nightmare Fuel Circus of Decay, and this is their big production show in the old Fear Factor Live Arena. It features sexy dancing, magic, fire dancing, an aerialist, a contortionist who I'm convinced has no bones in his entire body. That guy was really, I think, stole the show for me. It is a big production show. It is very well done, and it really is just Horror Nights is a long event with tons and tons of walking. I think I walked 8.5 miles in my night there, so it was really nice to get off my feet for a half an hour and take in a good show. Hauntophonic, A Ghoulish Journey is the lagoon show that uses all the fountains in the main lagoon area, and it has a very classic Halloween feel with very traditional, maybe like 50s style Halloween animation and some older songs. I do think the fountain shows are rather neat, and you could really just walk up to see this one. There's no waiting like at a lot of the other parts of Halloween Horror Nights, but this one I thought missed the mark a bit, especially for Horror Nights is a very hip, it's a very modern event, and this felt very old. I thought some of the lagoon shows they've done in years past, like there was one with Stranger Things and Ghostbusters, I thought that was phenomenal. And also, this doesn't use any like the drones or the fireworks like if you go to the normal nighttime show at Universal Studios. And I thought it felt a little bit more Disney than Universal. So Hauntophonic is kind of a rare miss for me at one of the events. Now time to talk about the Scare Zone Halloween Horror Nights. These are where they throw a whole bunch of props and scare actors in some of the streets, and they turned it into a themed environment. Right as you walked in, you're greeted with the Origins of Horror, which is kind of just like a welcome to the event Scare Zone. There were some gargoyle type guys. There's a giant bird creature that was really cool. And then you get into an area where there's all sorts of statues where you can take your picture next to for a lot of the big IPs that are at the event. So Jason, WWE, Terrifier, Freddy Fazbear, they all have statues you could take pictures next to. I thought that was pretty neat. I think my favorite Scare Zone was in Central Park, and that was the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. They actually have kind of like a mini haunted house over there, and they built a big cabin with the Cat Lady. It's an original Scare Zone. Like, it's when they've done Halloween Horror Nights now for 34 years, eventually you're going to run out of ideas for Scare Zones. This one I thought was rather creative. Masquerade Dance of Death was, I don't really know what was going on here. It was kind of a masquerade ball where people were getting stabbed. In the New York section of the park, you'll find Mutation Toxic 20s, and this was 1920s, and there's some sort of weird sludge that's turning people into monsters. It was okay. A couple other things, I don't think they're technically Scare Zones, but in front of the Mel's Drive-In, which of course during Horror Nights is turned into Mel's Die-In, they had zombies going around, some of them on roller skates like they were old-timey, 50s diners waiters. I thought that was cool. Club Horror is at the exit of the Fast and the Furious ride, and this is just kind of like a DJ dance party with dancers on stages. There's a bar over there, kind of another place to take a break from your traditional Horror Nights thing, go have a drink, enjoy some music. And there's also some other stuff they did this year around the park. Like there's a photo op for Black Phone 2, and they actually have somebody dressed up as the Grabber. And then something I really liked, just wandering around the park in different sections, is Art the Clown. I actually saw Art the Clown while he was wandering through the Finnegan's restaurant, just, bothering people as they ate. That's a really cool idea. I think it's nice that they have yep, we're going to put horror creatures everywhere. I thought that was fun. A couple other final notes when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights. There's a lot of food and beverage on offer, and it's pretty cool. They've gotten really good at this where they make food booths designed for some of the bigger houses. So, you got food booths themed to the Clown Cafe from Terrifier or the Firefly Funhouse from WWE. But with these cool food booths do come some pretty long lines. So, man, like the one I think that had the longest line was the Fallout Vault 33 booth. That had a really, really long line. I didn't get any food just because the lines were so long, and also, food's pretty expensive at Halloween Horror Nights. One thing I did get was a beer, but a big change this year. Blinky cups are gone. They now have a much nicer, much sturdier souvenir cup, but it doesn't light up, so that's a bit of a bummer, but it's a nicer cup, so it's, good and bad. The Halloween Horror Nights Tribute Store is in a new location this year, taking over the old arcade by the exit of the Revenge of the Mummy ride. Along with the Revenge of the Mummy gift shop, it is done up as a museum of antiquities, and I will say this definitely feels like a downgrade from years past. In other locations, the tribute store almost felt like an attraction unto itself. Here it feels like a themed gift shop, but definitely a gift shop, and it's much, much smaller in scale than it is in years past, just based on that piece of property that they had to work with. I'm surprised they didn't use one of the other locations for the tribute store. This one definitely is the worst location I think I've seen for one of their tribute stores. They do have a lot of merchandise, as you would expect for this event. If you are into Terrifier or Five Nights at Freddy's, those are the haunted houses with the most amount of merchandise. Then there's always a ton of HHN merchandise for the year in general. My favorite thing they sell Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place cups, but they are done up like the old Pizza Hut cups. That big red cup? Yep, they sell those, and those are really, really cool. That's my favorite souvenir that they were selling this year. All right, there we go, and that'll do it for my thoughts on Halloween Horror Nights 2025. I think it's a very strong year for the event. The haunted houses are really good. It might be the strongest year I've ever seen when it comes to haunted houses. Everyone likes to rank their haunted houses, so I'm going to do that here at the end of the video, going from my least favorite to my favorite. Starting off with number 10, I got Grave of Flesh. Number 9, Jason Universe. Number 8, Fallout. Number 7, Terrifier. Number 6, Hatchet and Chains. Number 5, Dolls Let's Play Dead. Number 4, Gulkin. Number 3, The Wyatt 6. Number 2, El Artista. And number 1, my personal favorite, was Five Nights at Freddy's. Halloween Horror Nights is probably my favorite special event that any theme park puts on, and I'm excited. It's a really good year for it, and Molly and I, we both have the frequent Fear Pass, so we'll be at Halloween Horror Nights a lot between now and the end of the run in November. If you got any questions about the event, let me know in the comments section below, and thank you very much for watching this video.